Hi there, and welcome back to the Fuse Show. Today I'm joined by Charlotte. Charlotte is the CEO and founder of WeTal, a matching platform between developers and jobs. She was originally a JavaScript developer since 10 years back and has worked in different cities like London, Berlin, Amsterdam, and Stockholm. 2 years ago, she founded WeTal in Stockholm, and she has since raised 5 million Swedish francs and has plans to expand globally. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
So I notice a lot of entrepreneurs build businesses based on the problems that they personally face. Is this also your narrative with WeTal?
Yes, indeed. So WeTal, as you said, we match developers with jobs, and I'm a developer myself since 10 years back. And I definitely struggled when I was hiring developers, as I don't know how it is in Colorado where you're sitting, but it's really hard, at least here in Stockholm, to find good developers. And also when I was working as a developer, I was headhunted a lot, and, recruiters can become a bit, too salesy sometimes. So WeTal is more like Tinder. So we try to make it like a pleasurable experience to be headhunted.
So you said you had challenges hiring engineers. Were you working on a product in the past that you were trying to hire engineers for?
Yeah, so mainly when I was working for a startup in London, they raised money. It was a crypto startup, actually. And we were hiring, I think, 10 people. And I felt it was impossible to find good developers because it's too few of them, actually. So it's hard. They have many offers.
So even in Silicon Valley, where companies like Google pay up to $600,000, $700,000 for engineers, the thing that also mind boggles me is the general lack of engineers available to work. Because I think all the best ones are very happy where they're at, and the ones that are in the marketplace are a little more they're more variable in quality. Like I think one of the challenges is the fact that people list years of experience, but I don't always know if years of experience translates to are those good years of experience, or did you pick up a lot of bad habits of those years of experience? And unless you personally work with them, I have that challenge where hey, can I trust this engineer? So how do you solve that problem?
Yeah, but we see it we're like Tinder was for dating before. So before, when I was dating, I was using Match.com, and I was it just feels like it's just weird people here. But then when Tinder came, it just felt like they normalized dating. And this is how we see WeTal, is that, even if you are a super good developer, you always, I'm not saying that I have not worked for Google or anything, but you still kind of want to know what's out there. And I think this is how it is with jobs, that you kind of just want to know what's out there if there is a better offer, even though you work for a super good company. Maybe if you work for a big company like Spotify or something, maybe you feel like you want to join a startup that has an impact or something like that. So there's always that next step. So we want to normalize like Tinder did for dating.
And when you start a marketplace business, did you start looking for developers? Or did you start looking for people who are looking for developers? Which one did you start with first?
We definitely started with the developers. They're the absolute hardest to find. So when I started WeTal, I was out in my network. I was forcing everyone to join. We had a partnership with another startup that gave them a gym card for free. So we had gifts, if you come on to WeTal, you would get gifts. So we had some tricks there to make them come on. And then when I had about 500 developers, I could take that to the company and be hey, now I have 500 developers. So yeah, definitely start with that part first.
Is there a requirement for anyone to join? Do they need a certain number of years of experience, or could anyone join, including out of college?
Yeah, so anyone can join, and our goal is that everyone should be at WeTal. But of course, the companies are more looking for senior developers, of course. And unfortunately now, I think we only have 2 companies that are accepting people straight from school. But we think that it's maybe only now when people will be more open to it. So we're developing also our technical test, so we can in a smooth way show that even though this is a graduate person straight from school, then this person is actually really suitable for the job. So we're trying to help in different areas.
Are you the one that creates the test?
Yes, I'm the I'm the one who the visionary person, and but yeah, my team is also super good and super helpful. I have two developers in my team that are girls. Super happy about finding two girls, and yeah, the whole team is involved.
Were those two developers people you knew prior to starting WeTal, or is it something you found along the journey?
I found them on WeTal. That's the whole
Hmm.
point. So they actually matched with WeTal on WeTal. We have this as like a joke that WeTal actually put, a job ad, and we found them on WeTal. So we were like,
Hmm.
yes,
So
yeah,
in terms of the interface, you said it's like a dating app, right? So like if you're a engineer looking for a company, are you like swiping left and right on company profiles? Is that how it works?
yes, indeed. If you ever use Tinder, that's more or less exactly how it works. So yeah, it is exactly like that.
And then on the other side, for companies looking to hire, they're just seeing a bunch of engineering profiles.
Yep. There's the like and the dislike button. So we have, stolen some ideas from a certain dating
Oh,
app.
dude, out of all the dating apps, I feel like they all steal ideas from each other. That plus a lot of them are owned by the Match Group, either directly or indirectly. So I feel like they all share IP at some level.
Yeah. I mean, the difficult thing is to get people on board. That's the
Hmm.
difficult thing, I feel.
Do you have a strategy for finding more people and getting them on board? Like, what's your current go-to thing to acquire more users of your platform?
Yeah, so we just took in investment, and I mean almost half is going to marketing.
Hmm.
So it's digital ads, but then we also have we're releasing our own. We just released our app, and on there we are gonna have our Clubhouse feature that we're releasing this September. That's called Code House.
Hmm.
So we're copying everything right now, but there we're gonna have tech talks. So we want to be more like a community for coders, not just, you swipe for jobs,
Hmm.
but you can actually listen to talks. You can, we also have some online courses in the pipeline. So there's tons of things that we do, but events when the pandemic is over, then we're hoping that we can have hackathons, and yeah, we'll see.
So I do recognize you're in the early days, but do you have a monetization strategy once you acquire all these users?
Sorry,
Oh, do you have
so
it?
what was that?
Yeah, do you have a strategy once you acquire a lot of users for your company to become profitable or financially sustainable?
Yeah, so we go plus. We have actually been pretty much breaking even from day one because we don't require many like staff because I built WeTal myself. It started kind of like rolling by itself. Then I hired some salespeople. They sold more, so they kind of like pay for themselves.
Hmm.
So we actually you say you go plus, we are profitable actually already.
So when you say the
I mean,
salespeople are selling more, is there like a premium tier that people can pay for? Is that how it works?
yeah, so the companies pay. So it's we have three packages, and you get more features the bigger package you uh, buy. And then we have a success fee when someone is hired.
I see. And the company pays a success fee?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So the developers, we want to give them gifts to come on. That's, the kind of community that I want to be in.
And then, so you talked about finding engineers. How did you find companies that want to hire engineers and have them willing to use your app?
That was pretty easy. Everyone is looking for developers. So just that they heard that I even had 500 developers, they were just like, I sign up. And yeah, that has really been the easy side, I have to say.
From a client's perspective, what's the benefit of using WeTal versus, say, something like Upwork?
So I believe that Upwork is more freelancers, if
Right.
I'm not remembering wrong. So we are right now in Stockholm. So our USP is that we go from city to city. So now we are starting in Stockholm, and we are copying WeTel out to different cities. So we feel like a local
Gotcha. I see.
platform. And it's also permanent hires, so we don't do freelancers right now, but maybe in the future.
Permanent hire as in like indefinite timeline of full-time employment, is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So full-time employment, so not hour by hour.
Gotcha. So once you scale globally, it's not necessarily going to be local anymore, right? What's your goal to keep the community tight knit over time?
Yeah, so it's still going to be local in the cities. So when we go to London, for example, it's going to be local in London, and we're going to have the community in
I
London,
see.
and etc.
Have you considered, or what do you plan for in terms of like building out communities in each city? Because obviously you can only be in one place at one time. Like, how do you plan to roll out? Unless you plan to travel nonstop, which is, I suppose, a strategy.
Yeah, I hope not. No, I mean so I used to live in London, so that's not so difficult for me to go there. But I mean, it is a digital platform, and we're just gonna do exactly what we did in Stockholm. That's the plan. So now we're kind of like setting the recipe, if you can say like that, in Stockholm, and then we can just like copy it to other cities. So hopefully, I don't have to like sit there. And yeah, the pandemic has made it easier. People are much more online these days.
So does that mean you've been doing like, online events?
So we are planning to do that with Code House in the app. That is our
Gotcha.
Clubhouse feature.
So out of the hundreds of engineers who are on your platform, I'm guessing, do most of them like know each other, or are they all effectively strangers?
I haven't asked actually,
Okay.
but I mean Stockholm is quite small, so I think a lot of them know each other.
I see. So there's not been a past opportunity for people to meet other people on the same side. Like companies can't meet companies and engineers can't meet engineers.
Yeah, so we're planning to have also like real events when the pandemic is over, like
Okay.
hackathons and other events. So we want to meet them.
Were you the person who built the MVP?
Yes, I was still fixing some bugs today actually, but I don't want to do that anymore.
How'd you decide what features you want in the MVP, and how'd you decide what goes in scope and what gets removed out of scope?
Well, it's a priority list. So we have, our Trello board and then our big backlog of things. And then we just prioritize what's the most important thing right now, feature-wise, but also maybe if something is just like a quick fix, but really helpful for a marketing team or something, we try to do that. And the sales team always wants stuff, but we have to say no sometimes. Too loud.
How big is the team currently?
So I have 6 employees.
Okay. And how are those split in terms of, you mentioned 2 are engineers, is that right?
Yeah, so I had 2 developers, 2 on marketing, and 2 on sales.
What is the marketer's current strategy that you found to be effective, or what are you currently trying?
Yeah, so they actually just started. So now it's just been like setting up all the social media ads. So we use Facebook, LinkedIn. We consider TikTok, but it just seems like a lot of work to do all these videos. We'll see if we will use that, but it's a lot of fun with TikTok. I have it myself. But then it is Code House, our Clubhouse app, that is going to be like the big thing. So now we're booking speakers, technical speakers, and and events.
Do you find, are you currently looking for, or do you currently have a mentor that guides you in the process of building this company?
So actually, I was quite lonely there in the beginning, but I was meeting a lot of investors, and a lot of them were actually like very nice and gave me advice and stuff like that. But now I have 5 angel investors that are super cool. They know each other, they're friends, and we always chat. I was texting my lead investor today, and that's always nice to have someone that cares, Otherwise, it can become a bit. You have ideas, but you're like, "Am I doing the right thing?" You're not quite sure, but yeah, you
How'd
just
you
find
find
your
them?
way. So I actually I was reaching out to a lot of, it sounds so simple, but I was reaching out to a lot of investors on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I started in Stockholm because that's where we're based. And I was like, oh, it would be nice to have someone just around the corner, and they're actually sitting on this in the same street as us. So it's quite nice. You can just go over there and say hello. But yeah, I was basically just like adding people on LinkedIn and say, hey, this is my pitch deck. Do you want to meet? Do you want to have coffee? And it is a bit of a numbers game. It sounds so boring, but it is kind of like that. If you reach out to 10, maybe two will say yes. So
So you went into LinkedIn, Google, and then searched for people who are investors in your city. Is that right?
investor in Stockholm, yes.
And then you like send how many messages or how many connection requests did you have to send to find your current, I guess, crew?
So I talked to maybe 40 or 50 investors. I
Okay.
had meetings with the 40 or 50. And I think that's like a decent number. In the beginning, I was really, scared of talking to some of them, but then it got better and better. And then in the end, get investment. So
How many did you have to go through before the nerves went away?
um, I think the first seven or something like that was the worst. And I also made maybe one mistake that I can say is that I reached out to the ones that I like really wanted in the beginning, like the most famous one, the people that've been in like Dragon's Den and stuff like that. And now I'm like, oh, maybe I should have waited before I
Hmm.
was like a bit more comfortable talking to investors. And yeah, so I would recommend like talk to maybe five that I don't want to say you don't care about, but that you can practice on. Don't go to your favorites first, I would say.
What did you learn from your first call, 5 to 7, like I guess talks with investors that you wish you knew from the very beginning?
So I would say that if you use the sales, it's very much like sales.
Okay.
So what you do is you just offer them a percentage in your company for money. So and then you explain to them what's in it for them.
Hmm.
And I mean, in the end of the day, if they are investors and they are interested in your field, for example, they are probably interested. And I thought that I was so scared that, oh, they're so, rich and special and famous. But in the end, they're business people and it's a sales meeting that you're going to. So I would just take it more professionally and not so personally, I would say.
So call it from like your seventh pitch all the way to your 50th. What changed?
Well, pretty much because you hear all the objections, and in the end, you learn how to what to say when that objection comes. But then also, to be honest, I also realized what to run a business. I know it sounds a bit, but like it is like I would say, being an entrepreneur, it is a skill that you learn how to run a business. So with I maybe spent 4 or 5 months on the round, and what happens is that you become a better entrepreneur and a salesperson. So and also it was going better and better for us. So we were selling more and more and more, and I think they also saw that. So they were in the end it was quite easy. It's just like you just show them the numbers, and yeah, it wasn't just a dream anymore. It was actually like happening for real. So.
I noticed that for a lot of engineers, they generally tend to lean towards introversion, which make things like sales and marketing particularly intimidating. Is that something you personally experienced?
Yeah, definitely. Like I am a developer from the beginning. I'm quite introverted. I really like people, but definitely like sales was completely new to me. And I think it's like one of the best skills to have, I think, because like end of the day, like you need to be able to convince people about what you're doing. So, I mean, I think if I would go back like 10 years, I would take a sales course or something
Hmm.
because it's really useful.
Are there sales courses you've taken or books that you've read or I don't know, blogs that you follow that really helped you in the journey of sales?
I haven't really read that much. I would say that sales is actually, as my sales team say, it's not rocket science. It's kind of like it is quite basic to sell because you offer someone something for money and then your offer gets better and better and better. So it's also like when we do cold calls, I mean, I don't do that anymore, but I did in the beginning. I was actually like doing my first cold calls and I felt so silly when I was picking up the phone, like, hey, yeah, I'm so and so. But I think it's just like a numbers game again. Like you get better and better and better, and you're just offering someone something for money. So yeah, but of course it's easier when it's your company because it's easier to sell something that you love. People will feel that it's you're passionate about something. So
How many cold calls did you do?
I mean, as many as there are tech companies in Stockholm, like 1,000,
Oh
maybe.
shoot. Okay.
I mean, we just have like Excel spreadsheet with numbers, then we just like, yeah.
Did you build that list yourself?
From the beginning, yes.
Okay.
Now we have a CRM that where we get. But now we also mostly do email and LinkedIn connections, and I find that much more nice. You know, people can answer if they want to, and it becomes a bit more smooth. If you call someone, maybe it's easier to convince someone when you're talking to them, but it can be, you know, you're disturbing someone, maybe they're sitting having a lunch or something. So I think email you can always, answer when you have time.
So I noticed that when you're in the world of COVID, everyone's more friendly towards remote work. Is there a reason you decided to stick to the model of everyone only in Stockholm?
It's just, I think there's always been this hope that we're going to go back to the office. And I mean, it feels like we're almost there, but I think it's really good that we can be more flexible. I know that a lot of companies were almost like against remote work before, at least here in Stockholm, people were like, oh, remote work, that just sounds like they're not going to work. So I think it's good that people realize that we can actually code from home and it's not that big of a difference. But I think people also maybe realize with the pandemic that we do kind of like to spend time together, and people are hoping to come back to the office because they just like to sit with their team, and but I think it's, most people now will be used to maybe working like 3 days or 4 days in the office, then maybe on Fridays they can work remotely, and I think that's good for work-life balance.
In terms of the prospective clients that you try to interact with through email, phone calls, and LinkedIn messages, what's the percentage of them that you've met in person, or has the timing of COVID made it weird?
So I don't do the sales calls anymore, but when I did, I met at least, on video, maybe 100 of my customers. And sometimes they, someone is like a friend of a friend, and they say, oh, can Charlotte be in the call? And then I come there and say hi. But I don't take so many of the sales meetings. But sometimes they actually want us to come to their office, and we're like, oh, this can be so much fun to go and meet a customer. Yeah.
So if it weren't for COVID, how many customers do you think you would have met in person?
In the beginning, I actually met all of them because I thought it was so important for me to get to know them.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to see, when I had the first MVP, to see them sign up was really, really valuable. And you get this connection with them, and they give you their honest opinion about what they don't like with the MVP, for example. And so I was actually doing that a lot in the beginning. The first 20 or 30 I went to because I wanted to. But then I started to do video calls because I thought it was taking too much time. And then the pandemic came, so then it was only video calls.
Did you ever want to, in terms of trying to scale yourself, did you want to have someone else that also try to do the same thing as you, with like try to meet prospective companies in person? Is that your goal in terms of building out your sales team, or do you prefer to move towards a pure video model?
So I think if we're gonna scale properly, we have to move away from everything. So I mean, we don't even gonna have video meetings. We're just gonna like
Hmm.
put a YouTube clip, like this
Right,
is
right, right.
the tutorial. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, there is a point to knowing your biggest customers. I mean, people like to meet in person. They always do business with people that they like. If they see a face, they much more willing to pay. So yeah, we
So
still try. I still think it's very valuable that we take the calls now. Still,
taking a step back through time when you were the first and only person working on this business, who was the first person you hired, and what was the reason you wanted to hire for that role?
so was a bit crazy. I hired three at once,
Okay.
but one was an intern, and the reason was that the intern was a developer that I matched with on WeTal, and she was just like this cute girl. And I was just like, oh, she can be my intern, because I need someone to fix bugs. And then I felt like maybe I can train her and stuff like that. But it turns out that she's like a super smart.
Hmm.
Like I'm like, oh, now I'm just like, God, I'm so lucky that I got her because she's so smart and she does everything now. So yeah, that was great. She's an employee now, of course.
Hmm.
Then I hired two salespeople. And the reason is that it's easy to hire salespeople first because their job is to make more money.
Right.
So they kind of pay their own salaries, and if they don't, then they are probably maybe not the right for the job. So that was quite an easy decision, and I wanted to have two because I wanted them to kind of like, it was actually like a friend of mine that is a sales manager. He was like, take two because then they can compete a bit. And I was like, that's such a clever idea. So that's why I took two, because I didn't want to have one and then that person could like cruise around. So, and it was good.
So if you currently have two salespersons, like why not 10 if they're all bringing in money proportional or more than proportional to their compensation?
You're very right. We were saying this the other day. It was like we can be as many salespeople as possible, but I don't really have a good answer for that. Why
Hmm.
not 10? Of course, it's going to be you always have to train people, of course.
Right,
So that's
right.
always the thing. But I'm going to think about this after after this conversation. Like maybe 10.
Are you the person that trains everyone currently?
More or less, I am the
Okay.
senior marketing person that trains the other marketing person. So I train the developers, and the sales guys they are under me. But the first one that I hired is like very good, has sold very well. So I trusted when I took in. So one person quit and then another one came in, and I trusted him to kind of like train him because
Hmm.
he was selling so well. So, I was like, can you just copy this guy and you'll be fine?
How'd you find the salespeople? I feel like everyone's always looking for stellar salespeople.
It's really hard. I mean, recruitment is so hard. But one I found on a recommendation. It was actually, I went to an investor meeting and she was like, my son is actually a great salesperson. He's looking for a job. Do you want to, hire him? I was like, okay, sure. And he is really good. And the other ones, I just had an ad on LinkedIn pretty much.
Hmm.
But it is hard to find good people. It's always hard to find good people. That's
So
why we built WeTal.
it's natural for, I think, a lot of entrepreneurs to learn sales. I don't know if all entrepreneurs also get into marketing. So how do you know how to hire a competent marketer from someone who doesn't have a... I actually don't know if you have a marketing background somewhere, but I'm assuming that you do.
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, I'm a very concrete person, and I tried to learn a bit before I hired her. So I try to make up my own strategy and also have a CMO that as a friend that helped me a bit. So I
Hmm.
was kind of like asking senior people, like, how would you do this? How would you do that? And then I knew how to interview these people. But I felt instantly with the person that I now hired that it's just she just delivers. And I think you feel when someone delivers results, then you're like, well, then it's fine. Like because in the end, I mean, we just have a goal, and that's to go from here to here.
Hmm.
And she's senior enough to explain to me maybe well, like how to get there. And in the end, if we don't reach that goal, then it's the wrong person. But then you will be, then it's too late. But I feel that I mean, I'm tracking all the numbers, and they are good. So that's all I care about, really.
Did you have to cycle through a lot of previous people to find these people, or did you get lucky off of a first attempt?
Um, Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. Did you get lucky in the first time you hired a person, each person for a specific role that it just worked out naturally?
Mm.
Or did you have to go through multiple people prior to find your current team?
So we have had people leaving for different reasons. Um, and yeah, it's always sad, but I think you both feel when it doesn't really work. And I mean, in the end of the day, it's just about results, I think.
Mhm.
At least for me, it's just like we have our goals, and yeah, it's just if we don't reach them, then there's no company in the end. So
So something that a lot of entrepreneurs go through is that at some point they go from a team of one, namely themselves, to a team of many. They start to think about
mm,
like team culture and team like making sure the team members are happy. What are your thoughts
mm.
on like keeping the team happy and keeping culture and I guess people feeling uplifted?
So I try to think that everyone wants to do their very best.
Hmm.
That's what I think at least. And I think if they are not performing, it's good to show them like a way forward rather than just say, "Oh, you suck," because it's not going to help them. Usually, if you suck, you don't know why you suck, and no one wants to suck. So I think everyone wants to reach their goals. And just every time someone reaches goals, like say, great job, awesome, go out, have a drink with the team, and we try to always have like a little bubble on Friday, and we always have our own version of retrospective on Fridays where we talk about like what are the good things that happened this week, and then we have like a huge list of good things, so we can like really like properly see like, oh wow, let's not forget all the good things we did. Then we list the like bad things and how we can improve those, and we're pretty open that because we know that no one wants to like not reach their goals. So we just discuss very openly, okay, how can we together reach the goals? Not like, as I said, like, oh, that sucks. It doesn't help anyone. So I think everyone feels quite open if they have a problem to just say what their problem is, because we all want to solve it. So solutions, not, problems have solutions.
So honesty is one of your, I guess, cultural values as a company.
Yeah, and also like lift things instantly when things happen. So we always have a morning meeting where everyone says what they did yesterday, what their struggles are. So we try to like talk every day and it's just like 20 minutes. It's like stand up. And then everyone can say what's on their mind. Because I think the worst thing is if someone is doing something wrong, but they don't know it and they keep doing the wrong thing for like a month, then it gets worse and worse and worse. So I think it's better if it's like a small thing, just say like, hey, this is like the feedback, let's do it like this instead. And everyone is quite open to feedback. So yeah, we that's what I think.
So when you hired these people, were these cultural components some things that you looked for in the interview process, or did you discover that these values were important after you hired them?
Yeah, so I have like there are two things that I look for. One, do I think that this person can deliver the results that they are supposed to deliver? Um, I tend to hire people that I think is smart because I'm like, oh, if this person doesn't know whatever right now, they can probably pick it up quite quickly, and
Hmm.
they want to learn, and they seem passionate. But then I also look at what are their personal goals, because I know that if you have a personal goals, you want to work much harder. You're going to think it's much more fun to be there, and sometimes you can meet the perfect person, but they don't really have a future at our company, and then it's not going to help them so much. But then also, I like very, kind and positive people, of course. So, yeah.
So beyond the competence component, like what are some questions you might ask in an interview to make sure they're a good cultural fit?
Some of the questions that I ask. We actually have a fun question that we ask that actually is very good. It shows a lot. I usually ask, like, can you name like one time you had problem with a person that you're working with? What was it? What was it that you didn't like? How did you solve it? And then people start talking and they say the weirdest things. They just like, oh, there was this one guy and he did this to me, and you're like, okay, this is not gonna work out. Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, I would recommend that question.
Do you have any other favorite questions?
Mm, what do we usually ask? I ask what their goal is, like what
Okay.
are their personal goals? Why did they choose our company and not another company? I want to know that they actually like chose our company. And you know, you would be surprised that some people don't even know what WeTal is. They just
Okay.
like, oh, I just pressed accept on the ad, and it's like, oh, okay, what did you think that we were doing? And I think it's yeah, just people that have chosen us,
Hmm.
and they're like, oh, I want to have this role because I think that this could be fun for me because A, B, and C.
You're a couple years into your journey, right? Was it 2 or 3 years? Is that right?
Yeah, 2 years.
What are some things that you've learned in this journey that you wish someone told you from the very beginning?
Um, I would say that you will eventually reach your goal. I mean, if you keep working, it will be better and better and better. So even if it's hard in the beginning and it's like a long journey in the beginning, it will be better. It will always get better unless you're doing something very, very weird. If it just gets worse and worse and worse. But like, but it will get better, and then it will be like you will learn how to have a company. That's what I would say. I'm surprised that it has actually gone better and better and better. But
Hmm.
that is the thing that I have noticed. But you need to not give up. And I think it's just people get so shocked that it's so much work in the beginning and like no salary. And that's when people give up. And I think if you just keep doing it for like 6 more months or 9 more months, you will, things will start falling into place. But it is hard in the beginning. And but I think everyone can do it. It's
Hmm.
just you have to push hard and not give up, I would say.
So I think your story is one of the more optimistic ones. I think you have a story where things are panning out. What about all the entrepreneur? Like, there's a lot of ideas out there that may have like a great idea, but the timing was wrong. For example, I used to work at Uber, and there was a couple of people who tried to start a
Mm.
business like Uber, but until you had decent smartphone penetration, decent, I don't know, like LTE slash, I don't know, 3G across the nation, and a massive amount of people on both sides of the marketplace, it just didn't pan out very well.
Mm.
Like, how do you know if
Yeah.
you're spending too much time on an idea that is not going to pan out versus something that just needs a little bit more time until it really explodes?
I would say for me, it has been like what I have realized after 2 years is that you need to get people on board. because you can have an app, you can have an idea, but I think people will follow you as an entrepreneur, and you need to be able to inspire people to get other people on board.
Mhm.
Because if we now we're I think we're 3,000 developers on WeTal, but it's us that has been like join WeTal. We really have been out there talking to everyone, and it's you need to be able to inspire people to use your app, because otherwise it's just going to be an app with no taxi drivers or no one that's dating anyone. So that's, I think, the hardest part is to getting people to actually use it, and you need to like really push people, because people don't want to change. People are like, I like my taxi, I don't need anything new. So you just need to, yeah, push hard on that, I would say.
So you mentioned inspiring people to like follow after your initiative and pursue a shared goal. What do you look like? What's your definition of a good leader, and what do you think? Like, what are you trying to do to become a better leader?
I think definitely you need to walk the walk, so to speak. I mean, I think people respect you when you actually walk the walk. And of course, like if you just talk the talk, uh, I think people will not feel the same deep respect for you. But with my team, they know how hard I've been pushing, and it's like they see me sweating, so they know that I'm not like chilling in a corner and just telling people what to do. So I think definitely like that is has been the key for me to get the respect. But yeah.
The second to last question I'd like to ask you is, what advice would you give to people who are currently early stage founders, or soon to be founders who are currently watching this episode?
Any advice or?
Just any advice.
Um, I would say, I mean, believe in yourself, etc. Yeah, and there's so many advice I can come up with right now. Just do a small MVP. Don't do like the full-blown thing first. Try it on users quickly, get their feedback quickly, try to involve customers and users quickly is the key, because then you don't waste so much developing time. And you just try to get people involved quite quickly. And I have a friend that has a startup, and they do something really smart. They actually have customers before they even have the app, and they say like, hey, do you want to be a part of developing this app? They actually get the customers to pay before the app is already done. And I think that's so inspiring, because they're actually like they're involving people without even having anything. So it's about, yeah, just in the end, it's the users that decide a bit with you, of course, but yeah, get them involved quickly, I would say.
Okay. And the last question I'd just like to ask all of my guests before I close out the episode is, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch with you, if that's something they would like to do?
Should I say my email now?
Sure. Whatever you want.
Instagram, yeah, Instagram, Charlotte Holmen, and of course Charlotte at wetal.com is my email.
Sounds good. Well, thanks again for your
LinkedIn, but yeah, yeah.
And we can definitely have all those links on the landing page.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for your time, Charlotte.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.